Hello friends, welcome into the Cowboys Report presented by BetDSI, the internet's #1 sportsbook. I am your host, Tom Downey, and if you weren't alive yesterday, Randy Gregory has been suspended by the NFL. It is an indefinite suspension for Gregory, his fourth such suspension, not just in general suspensions, I mean. Now, there is still a chance, per se, that Randy Gregory could play in 2019. Reportedly, of course, suspension was for a failed test. Of course, Roger Goodell alone makes the final decision if and when he returns, and we all know that Goodell has never made weird decisions about Cowboy suspensions before, right? So while you could hope that Gregory does come back, the reality is you have to focus the offseason as if you're not going to have him. That means at defensive end, you're a little bit light. Yes, you assume you're going to re-sign DeMarcus Lawrence. You assume that you're going to have Tyrone Crawford back again next year. You assume you're going to have Taco Charlton and Dorance Armstrong, but neither of those last two guys really made much of an impact, so do you really want to trust them? So with Randy Gregory's suspension now, defensive end, again, becomes a big need. We've been here before with the Dallas Cowboys. That's why they took Taco Charlton in round 1. I assume they're going to re-sign or at least franchise tag DeMarcus Lawrence, but even once you do that, you need some defensive line help. So how big of a need is defensive end right now for the Dallas Cowboys? Let me know in the comments section. Now, in light of the Randy Gregory suspension, we're going to take a look at 10 potential free agent targets the Cowboys could go after, but a couple of rules here that we're operating on. Focus is going to be on speed. You've got DeMarcus Lawrence, Tyrone Crawford. Those guys set the edge well. Go find a speedy guy. Cowboys like length in general, and by the way, I know some of you want expensive players. That's really not an option right now for the Cowboys. You're going to pay DeMarcus Lawrence $20+ million. You're going to try and get in a bidding war for other big-name defensive ends either? Yeah, that one's not going to happen. Instead, you're trying to find value and or discounts. And my question is if the team will avoid off-the-field issues given what happened to Randy Gregory and David Irvin too. So here's some defensive ends the Cowboys are not going to target. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but Jadeveon Clowney's not coming, guys. You're not going to throw $22 million at DeMarcus Lawrence, let's just say, and then $23 at Clowney, who, if he hits the open market, which I don't think happens anyway, ends up getting paid even more because that's how free agency works when it comes to the actual open market. You can cross off Frank Clark. Trey Flowers only makes sense to me if the Cowboys lose DeMarcus Lawrence. Probably not even anyway. D Ford, probably going to get franchise tag or extended. And Preston Smith, probably going to make too much as well. So 5 big names there that I'm sorry, you're just not going to see play for the Cowboys. Now, we'll get in the top 10, but first, today's show is brought to you by BetDSI, the internet's #1 sportsbook. Head over to chatsports.com/bet. Use promo code Cowboys120 for a 120% deposit bonus. You put down $50, they're going to give you $60 for free. You will not find a better betting deal out there than the one on BetDSI. And oh, by the way, they have all kinds of combine prop bets up there right now. It is combine week for the NFL. Go put some money down on who's going to run the fastest and what the general over-under for 40 times will be. And go check my timeline at WhatGoingDowney. I put out some of the ones that I bet on. Into number 10 then, Alex Okafor, a solid player, but he's only put up 4 sacks the past 3 years on average, which is fine. He's good against the run. I don't think Okafor, and he's not a bad player by any means, I just don't think he's the type of player the Cowboys need right now. Do you need another reliable edge, or do you need a guy that can bring a little more pop in the passing game? I think it's the latter there, and unfortunately, even though Okafor's good, I don't think he fits that mold. To number 9 now, how about Cameron Wake? I've seen this mentioned before on social media, both on YouTube and on my Twitter. Look, I know Cameron Wake used to be really, really good, but the reality is he's now 37 years old. The production has begun to drop off. He's a short-term fix who I think might decline rapidly because he's 37 years old. In most cases, you don't last that long as a premier edge rusher. So depth, maybe, but I don't think he's the solution there. So what should Dallas do at defensive end? Type D if you want to draft somebody, S if you want to sign someone, or N for nothing. If you type in D for draft, make sure you're subscribed, youtube.com/Dallas Cowboys Report. We'll do a draft target one of these as well after the combine and later on down the road once free agency kind of wraps up. Next up, number 8, Markus Golden, an intriguing option here, at least for me. Now, he's going to hit free agency, was great in 2016, had like 10.5 sacks or something. Then injuries have impacted the last 2 years, and he hasn't put up anywhere near the same level of production, just 2.5 this past season. But on a possible 1-year prove-it type deal, I'm intrigued. I think Golden in the end makes more sense than another former Cardinals defensive end, Benson Mayowa, who you guys know used to play for the Cowboys. I don't think he wants to end up back in Dallas, so I did not include him on the list. How about a former first-round bust? Number 7 overall, or number 7 on our list, Shane Ray. Showed some flashes early, and we know the Cowboys don't mind the old former first-round pick, give you a second chance, see if you pan out. But Ray has been a bust so far in his NFL career. Looked good early. 12 sacks in his first 2 years, 8 in his second season, and it's like, okay, 2017, here comes the breakout. And then he didn't happen at all. Just 2 sacks since then for Shane Ray. In reality, was the 4th pass rusher for the Denver Broncos. You can bring him in, but if you do sign Shane Ray, he's not the solution. He is a depth option that can compete for you, but signing Shane Ray is an example of a player that doesn't preclude you from drafting somebody early in 2019's NFL Draft. Number 6, another former first-round pick, Ziggy Ansah. Now, injuries have really impacted his play, and frankly, I don't trust him to stay healthy. The production has been wildly inconsistent, and even though he's turning just 30, I don't know what his market's going to look like there if I'm the Detroit Lions. It's very up in the air on that end. Look, he had a bunch of sacks in 2017, got franchise tagged, only had 4 this year, and much of his production in 2017 came in like 3 games. It was not consistent production by any means. So for Ansah, if the market's low, I'm intrigued, but I don't think that's actually going to end up being the case for Detroit. So 10 through 6, some lesser options in my eyes. Alex Okafor, Cam Wake, Marcus Golden, Shane Ray, Ziggy Ansah. Again, price a big factor there. I just don't know if they make the most sense for the Cowboys. All right, folks, as I always do, I am wearing a Mizzen and Main shirt. You can get one of your own over at comfortable.af. You guys are not going to find a more comfortable dress shirt. That's why the URL is comfortable.af. Go check out Mizzen and Main. You will not regret it. Into the top 5, and again, these rankings are based on my preference, so yell at me if you don't like it. Number 5, Bruce Irvin. He fits the speed rusher role that Dallas is looking for, and I think he might want to stay with the Falcons because of the Seahawks connection, but Chris Richard's also here, right? Granted, he didn't really work under Richard, but still feel like that counts a little bit. Used to be a great athlete, former first-round pick out of West Virginia, but he's 31 years old now. In some ways, he's an older version of Randy Gregory in terms of the way that he plays. I am intrigued at the right price, but I suspect he'll end up staying with the Atlanta Falcons. Number 4, one that I really think could actually end up going down. There's a report out from Bobby Belt, friend of the show, that Jordan could be a target for the Dallas Cowboys, and he fits the mold of what they want. Long, lanky, really good athlete. The problem is the former number 3 overall pick has just 8.5 sacks. Not last year, but for his career. He's never turned the potential into the production like you want to see. Now, he did a decent enough job in Seattle. Again, he wasn't the impact pass rusher. I don't know if he's going to be that in Dallas. But you need someone to take up snaps. And maybe you take a flyer on Jordan despite some off-field issues. Remember, he was out of the NFL for a league with those off-field stuff. Since then, has managed to stay clean. But for Jordan, it is a risk. There is upside there if he can maybe come close to capitalizing on some of his potential. And we know the Cowboys tend to like those redemption-type projects, be it on the field or off the field. Now, in light of the David Irving stuff and the Randy Gregory stuff, should Dallas add any more players with off-the-field concerns, or are you finally fed up with it and you really want the Cowboys to stick to the right kind of guy mantra that Jason Garrett preaches? Type 1 for yes, 0 if you don't want anyone else out there. Move now to number 3, Brandon Graham. And my number 1 fear here is not that he's not good enough, it's that he's going to cost too much money. Down year with only 4 sacks, but he's put up 7 the previous 4 years. Yeah, he's going to turn 31, but the production in terms of hurries was still there for Brandon Graham. So it was a bit of a down year in terms of actual sack production, but he still got near the quarterback as much as you want to see for a defensive end. I think the Eagles lose him. If you can bring him in on a cheaper deal to kind of be a potentially stabilizing influence at defensive end, you can still rotate his snaps, keep him fresh because he is older. I really like the idea of Brandon Graham, but the price has to be right, and my fear is that it's not going to be. Number 2, we'll stick with our theme of former first-round picks. Dante Fowler. Now, again, much like Graham, I fear a team like the Jets or the Niners, who also are looking for a Dante Fowler type of player, are going to show more interest and can pay more than the Cowboys would be willing to. But he really hasn't lived up to expectations in the NFL. Rams traded for him, and he was better once he got acclimated. Finished the year in 11 games with LA, including regular season and playoffs, with 3.5 sacks and 8 tackles for loss. If you can promise me 5 or 6 sacks from a free agent signing, I really like that idea, but I also don't want to pay him like 10 or 11 or 12 million, which I could very well see Dante Fowler getting on the open market. So I'm intrigued. I think he's a good fit for what Dallas needs, but if I had to guess, I think a team like the Niners or Jets pay him a lot more money than the Cowboys are going to be close to offering. And then at number 1, SHAQUIL Barrett. Now, he has been overshadowed by other Broncos pass rushers in his career. They had Von Miller. They had DeMarcus Ware. Then they drafted Bradley Chubb. So he's only really been a part-time player. And I suspect the price range is going to rise for Barrett as we get further along into the offseason and into free agency. But he is the perfect target for the Dallas Cowboys. Again, part-time player, 5.5 sacks, 1.5, and not that many snaps, 4 sacks, and then 3 this year. Again, sucked behind Von, behind Bradley Chubb, and other players. I like the idea of even just a 1-year prove-it deal so Barrett can cash in again next year. Bring in SHAQUIL Barrett, see if he can become your number 2. It is a bit of a projection move here, but if you can find the right value, that's what the Cowboys should at least consider doing in terms of the defensive end market. So let's recap my top 10 possible Randy Gregory replacements in free agency. Alex Okafor, Cameron Wake, Marcus Golden, Shane Ray, and Ziggy Ansah at number 6. Then Bruce Irvin, Dion Jordan, some guys with Seahawks connections at 5 and 4. Brandon Graham, the double whammy of hurting a divisional rival in the process. And then 2 guys that fit, but I worry about their price tag. Same with Brandon Graham, really. Dante Fowler and SHAQUIL Barrett. So who do you want the Cowboys to sign at defensive end? Let me know in the comments section. I kind of made my pitch. Feel free to throw out other names not listed on there, and I'll be sure to respond in the comments section. Hey Cowboys fans, thanks for watching the Cowboys Report. If you haven't already, click right here to subscribe to our channel for all the best Cowboys coverage on the internet. That's news, rumors, highlights, mailbags, film studies, and a whole lot more. And I'm making your lives a little bit easier as well with the next Cowboys Report video right here.